Like, I'm actually quite shocked at how dysfunctional this panel is and how nobody can maintain long-term relationships. Let me explain, right? So I'm actually pregnant with a girl right now. So I'm having a daughter, and being here is like terrifying, because I have to see like the world that my daughter is going to come up in. And I don't want, like, what you guys are experiencing, I would never want or wish for my daughter. I don't want my daughter to be used by like some guy in high school or like some guy in college, because that's what's going on, because we're talking about dating and situationships. We're giving our bodies to these men. And I don't want her to be used by some guy who could care less. You know, I want her to be able to exercise discernment and have better options.
I don't believe in shaming at all, especially when it comes to your kids, but my daughter represents me. I'm not gonna call her a whore, but I'm definitely gonna have a conversation with her, because she's not gonna be out here in these streets looking ran through like most of these modern day women. Sorry. I need class in my life and my family. With my daughters, I'm sorry.
But she's not property.
She's my daughter.
She's your daughter. She's not your property.
And I want her to be okay. And at the end of the day, girls who get ran through, I see them all over line complaining and crying how they're unfulfilled, men don't love them, and they're used and abused. I don't want that for my daughter. I want her to feel valuable and worth something. And if she goes down that path, she's gonna feel just like all these girls complaining and boo-hooing on this internet. I'm good. I need a queen, baby.
Everyone knows about the sexual revolution of the 1970s and hippie and free love movement of the 1960s. What they do not tell you is that many of these women who participated in these events develop psychological issues when they turn 40. So these women can be promiscuous, but there will always be a price to pay in the future. There's always a price to pay. And about the woman in the video, or girl, that says, your daughter is not property, I think she means that as a parent, you should not place any controls or restrictions on your daughter when they are teenagers. It is a parent's job to guide their child and keep them out of trouble. A parent is financially responsible for everything that child does until they turn 18. I remember back in the 70s, when my older brother and one of his female friends were talking to my mother. I cannot recall what she said, but it was something just as stupid. That woman or girl thought that she was so smart. My mother said to her, do you want to be taken care of or raising your grandchildren? And that pretty much ended the argument or the discussion. The issue I have with these types of women is they think they are smart. They think they are smarter than everyone else, especially men.
Why do you think so many women get married knowing it's the wrong man?
I think what happens is a biological pressure to become something we can't escape. And I think no matter how many holidays we can kid ourselves with and how many career opportunities and how many alternatives, there's a biological thing that kicks in with women at late 20s even. It doesn't have to wait till people think it happens really late. It doesn't. It happens quite early on, where they start to think that they need to know what the future will look like. To ease their anxiety, even if they're not going to have kids today, to ease their anxiety that they will become a mother, just want to settle down. They just want to tick that box. And in the process of kind of submitting to the evolutionary pressures and societal pressures, look the red flags. And sometimes it's not the man that's the issue. They knew themselves that they're not ready for marriage. They know themselves they're not very good at conflict. They know themselves they're still attached to an ex. The pressure to settle down that they apply on themselves and their body kind of causes them to walk down the aisle knowing what the result will be. I found with men is they can sometimes know that they're not marrying the right person, but usually they tend to be okay with accepting the monotony of marriage.
Problems with modern women right now is the delusion. They strongly believe that every man that has a certain amount of wealth, has a certain image, a certain look, they all feel as though they are the right fit for that kind of man. Oh, once he have this kind of money, he drive this kind of car. Once he does all these things, all of a sudden, these women feel like, oh yeah, you know, I'm the one that could be with that type of man. So if a man is working a regular job, I don't want him. If a man is doing this, I don't want to be with him. I'm waiting for, you know, Mr. Star, Mr. Sunshine. And a lot of y'all be Bob Marley. Y'all be waiting in vain. Waiting in vain. Then you get to a certain age where you want to start a family, you want a husband. Now you be trying to go back into your DMs to see who's still eligible. Now they don't want you. Sometimes y'all be going back after you have the kids too. You be going back only to find out that this man is happily married with somebody who appreciates and loves him. And you don't miss the mark. Playing the fool.
Well, guys, 33. It's time I stop playing around, settle down, and find me a husband. So what better place to go Then Home Depot.
Yes. Do you guys have any custom material here? But really, I'm actually very flexible for. Because I need to. I know it's material.
Hello. Yeah. This thing's huge. I don't even really know, like, fit. Like, I think it will like fall. I want to put it in there. So much heavier. Okay. My goal is to like shimmy somewhere else.
Who benefits more in marriage, a man or a woman?
I think there's no benefit for a man, unfortunately, in the Western way of marriage. I think it's so sickening that, you know, we have this agreement that women, when they divorce a man, they can just leave with a lot of his money or expect alimony for the rest of their life. And one of the things I always ask women is, are you going to have sex with him after you divorce for the rest of your life? And she's like, why would I do that? I was like, then why do you expect payment for the rest of your life? It's so strange that they want the perks and the lifestyle of the one that they attained from jumping on the back of their husband after the divorce, yet they wouldn't give anything after the divorce. They didn't even give a lot of that during the marriage, let alone after. So I feel like it's it's almost a culture of creating sadistic women by pushing that kind of, you get half after the divorce. And they seem to say, well, you know, a lot of the excuses, oh, but I wasted so many years being dedicated to him, but you both wasted it. That's a risk you take. He also wasted many years being investing in you, and he could have been investing in lots of other people. So I just think that that's why I would be, as a man living in the West, unless it's for religious reasons, I wouldn't recommend you getting married. If you're religious, absolutely. But if you're non-religious and your wife or your girlfriend is putting pressure on you, ask her why. Ask her why, because a lot of them see it as a life insurance for after they get divorced, they still have a payment plan.
Exactly.
But this is the extremities. This is not the average woman. I would say this is more the extremities, but unfortunately that is becoming the culture.
77 years of marriage, and I want to know what you would do if you were in his situation. This is Rosa, aged 96, and this is Antonio, aged 99. This Italian couple fell in love in their teen years and got married in their early 20s. They had a very traditional marriage. He had a job, they got a house, and had 5 kids. The two had a couple rough patches throughout their 77 years of marriage, but nothing they couldn't get through and fix. Well, so Antonio thought. Just days before Christmas, Antonio was rummaging around the attic and came across some very old love letters from the 1940s that Rosa wrote. After reading them, he was trying to remember everything these love letters were talking about, but he just couldn't. He went downstairs with the letters in hand and asked his wife about them. That's when Rosa confessed she had an affair over 6 decades ago, and those love letters were written for a different man. She came clean about everything, hoping that the time that had passed since then would make it all water under the bridge, but Antonio wasn't having it. He filed for divorce, and the two have actually set a record, making them the longest married couple to divorce. So if you were in his situation, what would you do?
That lady kept all those letters for over 60 years, all those love letters. This tells me that I'm not the man you want, the man you settle for. This explains why we have so many problems in our marriage. I could have been with someone who really and truly loved me. And remember, back in the 1940s, most jobs were manual labor. So he was out there breaking his back to provide for his family and making his wife happy. She could have given him the consideration and respect of getting rid of those letters and making sure he never found out. Instead, now he probably feels like she wasted his life for her desires for security. You selfish, lying, deceitful. Then she'll probably say something like this, or like the following. What about me? I was stuck with a man who I did not love for over 60 years. I was trapped with no way out. He was in a marriage with someone who he loved. He was happy. Well, he gave her a way out, a divorce. She can now go and live her life and be with the other man. That is, if he is still alive.